Hello and welcome to the couch. I've stolen Pastor Willie's seat. As he said last week, he's on holidays. So hopefully he's enjoying his holidays. Willie, if you are watching, go back to sleep, just relax. It's all good, you deserve the break, man. So I'm Pastor Andrew on the couch, and we have some other guests.
I'm
Who have we got here?
Shelley Poole. I am Digital Communication Coordinator at the Conference Office, and sister to Robbie, who you saw on the couch last week.
The one who talks lots, which is awesome. That's right, we love you, Robbie. That's really cool. We enjoyed that. Thank you for being with us on the couch.
Yeah.
And further over.
Hi guys, you might remember this beautiful face.
Your hair's on
Wilhelmina.
fire this week.
Thank you, Shelley.
It's amazing.
Thank you so much. It's
Who cares
Wilhelmina.
about the face? I care about the hair.
I had this hair last week if you didn't watch it, but watch the video last week. I had this hair. So hi guys, it's Wilhelmina, and yeah, great to be back on this couch and with you two, because I haven't had you on the couch with me
no.
before. I'm with Wilhelmina.
That's how it's been working. He goes on holidays. That's all good. A big thank you to Pastor Jody Eddy for doing our minute on Monday. I forget those words, but yes. So she was talking about darkness and light. And she encouraged us with a verse in 1 John that says that the darkness in this world can never overcome the light, which is kind of interesting to think about. So the first question that we have is for you both. What would you consider light in this world, and what would you consider darkness? Maybe some everyday examples of things that we live with all the time that are considered light or dark. Any
I see
thoughts?
you staring at me, Shelley, but we'll let you go first. Since you're our first timer on this couch, cool.
Yeah.
Go first.
I think for me, I'm drawn to the metaphor for light and dark when it comes to like mental health sort of stuff.
Mhm.
Like joy and pain and anxiety and depression versus calm and serenity. You know, I feel like that's the light and dark that I notice most in my life. And I mean, there's so many ways you can take this though. There's so many different ways. Could be character traits, character flaws. God might be chipping away at a specific thing that, is a little bit darker than it should be. And he's trying to bring out the better side of you. And but then, it can be so many things. It could be war like Ukraine. It could be COVID, the virus, which I've just recovered from. I'm grateful to be back in the office. I promise I'm not contagious anymore.
Oh, good. Yeah, Wilhelmina, how would you consider things that are light and things that are dark? How would you distinguish?
So it goes back to what Shelley has said. So with the whole mental health and being isolated, like we discussed last week, overthinking could be seen as a darkness, maybe for myself. And light, Jesus and him coming on this earth, he was walking in lightness, and that for me is what I consider light. Jesus and maybe anything good is lightness.
Yeah, my take on the light and dark is that there's so many things in this world and like everyday stuff that could go either way. There's some really some habits that we can get into. We talked about habits a few weeks ago. And some habits can be really, really good, and some can be not so good. So even like an example of something like social media has the potential to be this bright light shining in the world, and we're kind of attempting to have our little corner of social media here to be shining. But there's also, we all know the dangers of social media. If it's interacted with in the wrong way, it can lead you down a very, very dark path. So there's nothing evil in the platform of it, but it's kind of what we do with it. We could actually add to its light and make it shine, or we could actually let it take us down a very dark, windy road, which wouldn't be good.
Social media point, I'm very biased on this issue because it's my job, but I do feel like it's almost it's like is food inherently evil? Is this Malteser inherently evil? Is this like a dark like Malteser? It's just a Malteser.
If you eat an entire packet of Maltesers,
you might experience some darkness in the hours afterwards. It's about addiction and like how you make your choices. Like all food isn't evil. It's just you got to pick and choose the media that's gonna build you up and teach you good things and encourage you and not just leave you despairing about the universe.
And I think that fits with any kind of thing, not just social media. What kind of, if anyone ever reads a book anymore, what you choose to pick up, the newsfeed you look at, the sport you play, can lead you down a path that's not so good, or it can be the most awesome thing that you do. So yeah, we're not just picking on social media at all, about anything in life. Whether you go for a walk in the mornings and get some exercise, or whether you choose to never ever exercise, anything, no matter how you interact with it, it can bring light or it can bring another shade of darkness. Has possibilities.
Yeah. So, moving on to the next question. Thank you, Pastor Andrew, for asking us that first question. Now I get to ask you guys a question. So the question is, how do you intentionally focus on the light in the world? How do you intentionally focus on the light in the world? So
I'm one of those frustrating people that is the eternal optimist. Like everything's always, the glass is half full. In fact, it's overflowing. It's only half full with water, but the rest of it's filled with air, and that air fills the entire universe. So I'm always the optimist. But being a pastor, it's easy. I had to make a decision before I became a pastor again that I wouldn't allow people to offend me unless they were in my face telling me I'm actually trying to offend you right now. So I'm always looking for the good, and even if someone's doing something contrary to what I think, or they're talking against me or behind me or whatever they're doing, I just constantly am looking for that little ray of sunshine.
Do you find it's like a brain muscle that you've had to work at, or is it just something that you just switch on and off?
It has to be on all the time.
Okay.
Otherwise I'd go up and down too much. I'd follow. It's too easy. You preach a sermon, 300 people listen. If you were overthinking and too much, you'd walk away going, I wonder what they thought. I wonder what they... I can't. I can't do it. I've got to think, they were here to celebrate worshipping God.
Okay.
I hope I was able to help that. And you just got to carry on. But yeah, the eternal optimism is just, I don't know, it's in me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm actually curious to hear from you, Shelley, when Pastor Andrew just said he's the type of person to say, so the glass is half empty. What is your take on that? Is the glass half full or is it half empty?
It's both. It's both, Wilhelmina. And I believe that staunchly. I try my best to try and see both sides of a situation, and I try my best to sort of see positives and negatives, and I try my best to hold that tension or paradox sometimes in a healthy way. Sometimes I explode, but sometimes it's healthy. I think for me, when I think about seeing the light in everyday experiences, I'm more drawn to the mental health idea of light and dark. And I remember seeing in a church once, there was like a candle on the side of on the side of the room, and they had like a little catchphrase or words underneath it saying, you have to choose joy. And I was going through a pretty dark time at the time, and I just remember thinking, sometimes it has to be a cold-blooded decision to
choose joy.
Choose the light, to see the positives, to choose your emotions sometimes even. I mean, sometimes it feels like it's impossible to choose your emotions, but sometimes, you know what, you do have a little bit more command over them than you give yourself credit for, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I go with what you've just said with looking at the mental aspects of light and darkness. But let us know what you guys think. Moving forward, we'll go through our last question. So if you guys obviously have more questions to ask us, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Pastor Andrew, did you want to ask us our last question today?
Absolutely.
For the couch?
It's an optimistic question, so yes. So how can you shed light into other people's lives? So we've talked about how we deal with it a little bit in our own, and we have to sometimes outright just choose to be joyous.
I have a verse. Hang on. I looked this up before. I'd like the message take on this.
Sure.
Um,
So the question was, how can you shed light into other people's lives?
All right, so this is Matthew 5. It's talking about salt and light.
Yep.
And it says, let me tell you why you're here. You're here to be salt seasoning that brings out the God flavors of
I like
this
salt.
earth. Yeah. If you lose your saltiness, how will people taste godliness?
Wow.
You've lost your usefulness and will end up in the garbage. Here's another way to put it. You're here to be light, bringing out the God colours in this world. God is not a secret to be kept. We're going public with this, as public as a city on a hill. If I make you light bearers, you don't think I'm going to hide you under a bucket, do you? I'm putting you on a light stand. Now that I've put you there on a hilltop, on a light stand, shine. Keep your open house. Be generous with your lives. By opening up to others, you'll prompt people to open up with God, this generous Father in heaven. So maybe there's a few hints there. Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty. So can you tell us what verse that was?
Oh,
we can
so
get
sorry,
our
yes.
youth to actually read that and ask us more questions on that.
Matthew 5, verse 13 through to 16. Yeah.
Wow.
Cool.
So before we close, Pastor Andrew, is there any quick, how do you shed light to our young people? Or how can you shed light?
I always look for the good. I always look for the good in someone.
Yeah.
So in every human, no matter what their emotional state is or what they're feeling, there is always good that can be there. And just to look for the good.
Wow.
Because every human, I believe, can shine light. There was a story of a cathedral that was, I don't know when it was, years ago, and it was built with bricks and mortar, and there was no windows in it. But in front of every seat, there was a little spot where you put your lantern. And so when the congregation came in, whenever they gathered together, they would bring their lantern and they would put it in. And if there was only one person there was only a little bit of light. But when there was 300 people there or 400 people there and they all bought their lantern, it shone. It was really, really bright. And I feel like through COVID, a lot of people have decided to take their lantern with them and not come back to the place. And so we're not able to shine as brightly, because while things can still look in a church like they're still going really great, they're all perfect, things are running, we're having our services back, we're doing all these things. The less people that are coming and bringing their light to shine in the world, it's going to shine less brightly. So the more that come, and I believe every single person has a light, whether it's just a glimmer or whether it's a big spotlight or something.
Raging fire.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, a big bonfire. Whatever the light is, every person has a light that they can bring, no matter how bright. But when you put it together with others, it just shines hugely.
Wow.
So I just always look for that light. You guys have got light shining in you.
Thank you.
As do you,
Yeah.
sir.
Well, I try. Who knows?
I can't help but wonder if everyone's light's a little bit different based on the gifts that God's given you and the different personality traits God's given you, and that, you know, you've got a unique God colour to show the world.
Could be. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much, Shelley, for joining us on the couch today.
My
and
pleasure.
thank you, Pastor Andrew, for
always fun.
co-hosting with me.
All good.
So you've heard it from us on the couch. We still want to hear from you, and we definitely look forward to seeing, well, we can't see you guys, but we definitely look forward to getting your messages and, reading them and answering your questions on the couch. So watch out for next week, and see you guys.
See you next time.
Bye.
See ya.